Okay, well, it's going to be a great episode, guys. Welcome back to the Power Half Hour. And today we have a very special guest coming from Mexico. Am I correct, Dave?
Cabo San Lucas, my friend. Yes, sir. Been down here for a few months, and
Cabo
we're
San
off to the
Lucas.
U.S. in a couple
Wow.
weeks. So exciting things happening.
I love it, man. So for those of you guys who don't know who Dave is, he's an absolute legend here in Greater Vancouver area and has since moved to Mexico, started full-time coaching. Man, I just can't wait to find out this whole journey. But yeah, let's start from the very beginning. How did you start in real estate, Dave?
I started in real estate. Oh, geez, just over 15 years ago. My father was in real estate for his whole career. He focused mainly on commercial. So I grew up with it. In my 20s, sold cars. I worked for Honda for a number of years, and I thought that the next logical step in sales would be for me to get into real estate. So took the real estate
Mm.
course, got licensed in about 2010. Did a little bit of work for my father a couple years before I did that. Yeah, started out in Coquitlam working at Remax, and my first sale was $169,000 mobile home. Like
Wow.
this thing was a piece of shit. If you look at my IG page, I pinned it in the top left corner. You can see the video. But yeah, no, I started from the bottom, man. I started selling one bedroom condos. I was on that circuit for a long time. Moved up into townhomes, started getting more into residential detached. But I always kind of had that feeling that I wanted more. I wanted to be around more. I wanted to be in the mix. I wanted to be in the city. I wanted to be doing luxury real estate. And one
Mm.
day, a couple years into my real estate journey, I just decided to take a huge risk, and I moved everything into the city and just went for it. I
Oh,
left it
wow.
behind in the suburbs, and I really focused on building something for myself in the Vancouver market. So I was able to do
You.
so. I cracked into kind of the more higher end condo market, and I did quite well with that. So it did work for me. There was a lot of hard work. There was a lot of late nights making calls in the office. There
Mm.
was a lot of dead ends. I tried everything possible that there is to do for marketing, advertising, everything. I've done it. And I really found that what worked for me was putting in the work. Then was banging on doors, was making calls, was becoming like a student of the business and always learning, always perfecting my craft as I
Yeah,
went on. So so yeah,
that's
no, and
amazing.
15 years in, I started my coaching consulting business, and
Awesome.
when that started, it it kind of started like I trained a lot of people at the office I was working with, like all the guys. I trained them on calls, I
Mm.
trained them on how to get doors, I'd help them build out all their marketing packages. I'd go to listing appointments with them and help them close. So I was training
Mm.
before I even knew that I wanted to do this. It was always something that I really really enjoyed. And when I started Jenkins Consulting, it started out great. It grew and it grew and it grew. And I found that
Mm.
it turned into more of something that was full time. It was taking all my time and interest. And then this year, I just decided to pursue this full time.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
we
tough
left Vancouver.
because you are so productive as an agent, and you're obviously succeeding at a high level. 5, 6 million, $7 million condos in Greater Vancouver. That's the life that we all want, right? How did
Right.
you just say, you know what, I'm leaving that behind? Because that's tough.
You know, how could I put? I got sick of doing the tours. I got sick of doing the open houses. I was more, I really enjoyed working and helping other agents, and I really found a lot of
Mm.
reward in that. And it was something that I just loved to do. And, I love to do it a lot more. And I'm able to do something every day that I truly enjoy, that aligns with my purpose, and I make a great living doing it. So it naturally fell into place for me. It wasn't a
I love it.
difficult, really, decision. And a lot of the business that I have in all my clients in Vancouver, I refer those people off to, other agents that I work with in the business. So I still get,
Perfect.
there's still real estate money coming to me. It's just I'm not doing it full
Mm.
time myself, right?
I love that. Okay, so I do want to back up a bit because a lot of agents, start out from the bottom like you did and want to break into the luxury market. I mean, how did you do that to go from Coquitlam all the way to downtown and to build up that clientele? I mean, there's no door knocking in downtown, as we know. So how did you do that?
So I made it a point that when I moved downtown, I moved right into Cole Harbor. I moved into the Fairmont Pac Rim, which at the time I would say was probably one of the
Wow.
best buildings in the city. And I made it a point that my marketing was the best in the business. My package looked amazing. Whenever I left the house, I also looked amazing. I was my personal brand. And if I'm going to show up selling luxury homes, I showed up. I went to every networking event that I could possibly go to. I made sure that I was in the scene. I tried to get an open house every weekend in downtown. I had signs everywhere that said fucking Dave Jenkins on it. I had buses running all through
Yeah.
Vancouver with my face and name plastered down the side. I made it my business that people knew I sold real estate. Because if nobody knows you're in
Mm,
business, how are you going to get any business? So going into a
right.
neighborhood where, hey, I hadn't done any sales, how am I going to do it? People have to see me. People have to
Mm,
know who Dave is. And I also, at that point, I didn't have listings. So I leveraged my brokerage. When I'd send out just listed or just sold
mm,
cards, I'd blanket the neighborhood with them, but it was a just listed or just sold from my office, right? So I was able to
mm.
leverage brokerage a lot too, which I think a lot of people don't do, which they really should be doing. Like if I'm in a geo farm, a new area, I'm not going to send out market updates that nobody's going to read. People want to see the word just sold, just listed. And then they see my name
Mhm.
beside it, right? They don't want to see, a big graph of stats that no one's ever going to look at. They want to see something that's aesthetically pleasing, that looks amazing, that either says just listed or just sold. That really, really worked well for me. And that's actually how I got
Mm,
my one of the first listings downtown was the guy in my building kept seeing my flyers over and over and he wanted to
mm.
sell. And that was my first one in the Fairmont, which actually to this day was the second highest priced for that floor plan ever sold in the building. So that one was my first one, and I hustled the shit out of that. Every weekend I was in
Mm.
that lobby doing an open. I blanketed everywhere with flyers. It was on social media. It was literally everywhere, and I used that to leverage more business. And then I got another listing in the Shangri-La Estates, and then it just went from there. And I kept marketing, I kept advertising, I
Wow.
kept spending more. The level up really it never fits your timeline. It never fits your pocketbook. And that's just it. Like I was ready to make that risk and go
Mm.
all. So I spent the money. I invested in myself. I always tried to become better and better and better. And I was a student of the business, like I said, right? But one thing,
That's
guys, leveraging
amazing.
leveraging the brokerage is to me is huge.
I see. Yes, yes. And then not every agent wants to do that. I don't know why, because you're allowed to use other people's listings even outside of the brokerage. So why not inside of the brokerage,
Yeah.
right? But I do want to talk about this because what you did, all that you've shared so far, it takes a lot of courage to spend
Mm.
money, to move in a completely different market, to start from zero, and to utilize other people's listings to leverage yourself. How did you develop that courage to take such risks?
So, John, I looked at it like when I first started in real estate, I had $2,000 in the bank, two fucking grand. I didn't know how I was going to pay rent the
Wow.
next month. I had to hustle. I had no choice but to do it. A lot of people these days, they
Mm,
don't have urgency. They're too comfortable. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone and go for it. And where I've found the most success and the most growth in my life has been by putting myself in places that were uncomfortable and growing from there,
mm,
right? So was it uncomfortable to take that risk? Did I have financial stresses and oh shit, what if this doesn't work out? Of course I had those thoughts, but nothing comes out of staying comfortable. So I took that risk and I
mm,
got comfortable and it worked, but I went for it. And there's such a great feeling of going for something because I don't want to be that guy in 30 years when I'm 70 years old looking back with regrets on my life. Like that's is not going to happen for me. I'm going to look back and say that
awesome.
I have a kick-ass story. My book fucking rocks. Someone's going to want to read that book and be interested in it. I don't want to have a boring ass book. So, when I see something that I want, I'll take the risk and go for it. And if it doesn't work out,
Wow.
fuck it, well, I got a cool story to tell, and I'll go back to doing what I was doing, right? But I
That's
could never live
amazing.
by not going for it. Like that just is not me, right?
That's amazing. So really it is about having no regrets. If you were to think about being 70 years old, looking back, like, would I have done that? Why didn't I do that? I could have, should have, would have, right?
Yeah.
Why not just do it now since we're in the moment? Um, so what drives you? Ultimately, there's something inside, right? Because you seem like a very like intense guy. Because that's how you come off, and I mean that in the most sincere way. Because I love that intensity about you. What drives that?
It's I have a desire inside for more. And I still
Hmm.
want more, John. Like, how many people told me when I was leaving Vancouver and we were moving down to Cabo that I was nuts. I was crazy to leave behind a real
Yeah.
estate business and focus on coaching. Why would you want to do that? It was the best thing I ever did was take that risk because that risk got me
Hmm.
to this point. I mean, now we're moving to Miami in 2 weeks, and just the
Wow.
opportunities that this has opened up and the growth that I've had along the way, it just that drives me. The future, the possibilities of what's out there and what more I can become and what more I can do. And I'm not satisfied yet. I want more.
Hmm.
And I'm going to go after more and I'm going to continue to go after more because I have that desire and I feel it here. I think a lot of people, when they have that desire to go do something, they feel it fucking right there. And I have that every day. And that's why every day I don't waste. Like we have a daily program and I follow
Hmm.
that every single day and I don't miss on that. And not missing on that also brings me a lot of success, right? Like you have a program. I see that you show up and train every day on your IG, and that probably really helps you in your day to day because you don't miss on your routine. So that's something that's vital for me. But that desire keeps me going every day. It's the desire to do better for my family, to do better for
Hmm.
my girlfriend, provide a better life for us, right?
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of it is
Yeah.
just a burning desire for more.
Wow, the burning desire to win is crucial, I think, because we can teach you the skill. Like the agents that are listening to this, guys, we can teach you the skill, but we cannot teach you the will. The will, you need to dig deep and find out what gets you up in the morning. And Dave, you found it. So why do
I,
you
I,
think most agents are not as intense as you are and as motivated and have that burning desire?
so a lot of it, I'll find guys like we can give anybody a plan in real estate. It's actually not that hard of a business. People just overcomplicate the shit
Yeah.
out of it, and they don't want to work. I mean, really, we got to get good at a few
Mm.
fundamental things. Show up every day, again and again and again, and it's going to work for you. But I find a lot of people want to get out of actually doing the work. They
Mm.
get way too comfortable. And again, I'll go back to it. Growth is not found in comfort. Growth is found in uncomfort. Nobody
Mm.
likes door knocking a house when it's pouring rain and there's an expired. Nobody wants to go fucking knock on the door and potentially get told to beat it and get off someone's like nobody wants that. And that's why people don't do it because it's uncomfortable. So John, the biggest thing is
Mm.
people got to decide if average is still good enough. Everybody that rolls through
Oof.
my program, average is not good enough for them. Like we tried to breed, we breed winners here, right? We don't go with the excuse makers, the procrastinators, and every year is their year, only to say the same shit next year because they fell on their ass 2 weeks into the year, and it's all out the window because they didn't see results in 2 weeks, right? Like no, I remember there was months I didn't get anything on the phone, but I still showed up every
Mm.
day and made calls. And I remember how many
Wow.
times I left the office at 7:30 at night, pouring fucking rain, when I got told to fuck off 20 times, and the phone kept getting slammed down on me time and time again. And
Mm.
that frustration gets real after a couple weeks or a month of getting nothing. But you find that
Yeah.
success by pushing through and doing it again. Like some of the biggest deals I ever had came simply off the phone. And we always say,
Wow.
hey, I sold this $5 million place off of a phone call, but I never told the story about the 1,000 calls I made before that or the 1,000 calls I made after, right? So some could
Mm.
say, well, Dave, you do really well at this. I'm like, well, yeah, I do, man, because I made 5,000 phone calls. I'm like, you've made 50. So of course I'm going to be way better at it than you, right? It's always like the page 5 to someone else's page 275. And it's
Yeah,
it's people look at the end result and they don't want anything. The middle's where the work comes in. Like
that's
for us,
right.
what do we do? We sell the middle, right? I mean, I give you the middle. I'll tell you what worked. There's my middle. That works. Go do that. I'll hold you accountable to do it. I'll push you. I'll break you through your limiting beliefs. I'll build a work ethic in you. I'll get you disciplined, and you'll be successful, right? And working with a
Mm-hmm.
couple guys right now from Graham who are all plugged in on program. They're all doing really fucking well. They're going to have great years, but they all
Nice.
adopted that mindset that they're going to get out and hustle every day and stick to it. So the biggest thing for
I love
people
it.
is they got to decide, is average still good enough? I say it's not.
Guys, you got to ask yourself every single day, and I think that's a great question to ask yourself. Is average good enough for me? That question gets me so pissed off. I'm gonna ask myself tomorrow when I wake up, is average good enough for me? Hell no.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's the
So
push a
tell
little
us a
bit
little
harder.
bit.
Mm.
Yeah, you need to push a little bit harder. Do tell us a little bit about how you help these guys and what the consulting and coaching looks like and how you help agents move forward in their production.
So, like I said, I mean, anybody can have a coaching business and say, here's a plan, go follow it. Here's a PDF, read it, and go make calls. That I find doesn't work. What we do,
No.
and I think what's a little bit different about myself and my approach, is I take everybody one on one and I focus on
Mm,
building a foundation for their business because everybody's different. John, you're going to have
yeah.
a different business than the next guy. So we look at you, what your current strengths are, what your goals are, what your weaknesses are, everything. And we build a solid foundation for the business. So we'll get your branding dialed in. All of your marketing materials are all get done by us. We do all the websites on the back end. We do all the lead gen through the
Wow.
back end. So we really build out everything. So once somebody has that solid foundation and a clear direction in which they want to go and they want to take their business, and we set a few goals, we develop a plan on what you got to do every day in order to get there. So
Wow.
the plan for everybody is not the same. You could be a realtor that's a full-time mom, so we got to juggle your schedule around your kids, and we got to build it around you. So everybody gets a custom plan built along them. I hold you accountable to doing the work, but I also one-on-one train you. I'll one-on-one role play with you.
Mm,
I'll teach you how to circle prospect. I'll teach you how to do a listing presentation. I'll teach you how to handle all the objections, rejections. Like any rejection or objection, I could probably handle. So we go through all of that stuff. So I train you in the fundamental things that you need to do well in order to be a successful realtor. But we get your habits dialed in. So when you're gone from the program, you're going to continue to do well because we've instilled the daily habits in you. And
hmm.
that's where I think a
Wow.
lot of
So
these guys' success is I hold them accountable to doing it and it becomes
mm,
habit.
that's amazing. So it sounds like it's not a one size fits all coaching program, consulting program. It's everybody has a different goal and you help them set up exactly what fits them to build a foundation, lead gen, and then after all that's built, you hold them accountable on a daily basis. It's a one-on-one coaching program where you're role playing with them, you're holding them accountable. Man, that's a lot on your plate.
But it's something, John, that I like doing. Like all day, like I'm here, we're down here. I have an office down at the Waldorf here in Cabo. I come down here every day. I do all my calls here.
Mm,
So after we're done this, I got another 5 calls back to back, student calls. But it's going to be the same thing. We're just
wow.
going to be talking. We're going to be talking personal development, breaking through limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
because I really feel, and we said that the business is never the problem. Is the business. The problem is always inherently
Mm,
the person. So when we focus on building the best version of you, what happens? The
hmm.
business falls into place every single time, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of it is I got to save people from their bad decisions. I gotta I gotta instill the confidence in them. A lot of guys they come in, they're overweight, they're sloppy. They don't leave that way. They leave
Mm,
with the mind body connection. So it's a whole thing. It's not just me telling you about real estate. It's really the focus is on building a better version of the person.
amazing.
So I, I,
Amazing.
do, I do take
Wow.
a
So
lot of pride in that as well, right? So
definitely, definitely. What do you think is the biggest struggle, excuse me, for the agents that are working with you right now to get to the next level?
Well, everybody comes in and there's no concrete plan. There's no clear
Mm,
direction on where they're going. I find that most agents, they're off in so many different directions, trying so many different things. And a lot of them will get to the end of the week and I'll say, well, okay, what did you do? I think, well, I was busy, but well, what did you accomplish? Fuck, nothing,
mm,
right? A lot of people will coast through
mm,
their days thinking that they're busy, but they really didn't accomplish anything important for real estate because real estate, it comes down to
mm.
generating leads. If you're not generating
Yeah.
leads, you don't have a very good real estate business. So I streamline everything to a clear direction for people. So it makes it very, very, very simple, right? I take out the 30 things that you did in a week that were a complete fucking waste of time. And I have people stop doing their sabotaging habits in the week. I'll restructure their day.
Mm.
People say, "Well, I show up at the morning to my office at 9 a.m. and make cold calls." I'm like, "Why do you make cold calls at 9 a.m.?" I'm like, "How many people do you talk to at 9?" They're like, "Well, fuck, not a lot of people." I'm like, "Start doing it from 4 to
Mm.
7:30. Like, it's a way better time to do it." So
Right.
dialing in the direction that they're going, taking out all the waste of time stuff, and really getting the schedule
Mm.
dialed, being held accountable to the schedule, it works every single time. Nobody that's come through that's actually followed the plan and what was open to learning, open to being coachable, ever didn't do well, right? So, and like I said, man, it's not a hard business. We just got to execute the right things, and we got to be able to do that at a high level, right?
Yeah, wow. I think, yeah, people come in with no plan and people come in thinking it's easy. But when they join you, do you believe that people already have that desire when they join you, or do you have to like kind of pump them up to have that desire? What do you think?
So, anybody that's going to take the step to obviously invest into their business has a desire to do well, but is a part of
Right.
my job to pump you up? Yeah, everybody who leaves that call is fucking pumped and they're going to go kill it that day for sure.
Good.
So that's also part of what I do. But anybody that's going to take the step and say, "Hey, I'm going to invest in my business," does have a desire to succeed. No one's going to come in and waste thousands and thousands of dollars for me to tell them what to do, and then they don't do it, right? So yeah, there is definitely a level of desire to succeed for mostly all the people that come through, for sure. Yeah,
I
yeah.
always say that if you
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I always say that if you pay, you'll pay attention and you'll actually
True.
do the work because you have something at stake, right? There's an accountability there inherently when you pay, when you invest. So
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. What are some
Uh,
typical results, if you can share, of the agents that do get involved? What
yeah,
can they
for sure,
see for
man.
themselves?
So again, everybody's different, but I can share some pretty good wins. I had one girl come through. She was a rookie agent. She actually got rookie of the year at her brokerage, and the last quarter with
Wow.
me, she made 250K. So I was pretty pleased with her.
Wow.
She's got a very good business going now. Doesn't need me anymore, but she's going to do really well. I had another guy
Amazing.
come in. Wasn't a huge producer. Was in the game for quite some time, and we
Hmm.
rebranded him, remarketed. I got a great lead gen program going for him, and he made 60K selling pre-sales last
Wow.
December, running our program. He did fucking really well. I had a guy, young guy from Alberta, come through. He stayed on for about 8 months, and he did 27 deals his
Hmm.
first year. He did really well. This kid came to me like no sales skills, like nothing at all. Like it was a bit of a tough project.
Wow.
He could do 27 deals his first year. Anybody can, right? But there's a lot of people.
Mm.
Like one of the agents I'm working with Graham, she just got a listing. I got another guy. He's got 2 listing appointments this week just by doing the shit that we talk about, right? So people
Love
do
that.
find the success, and I had one guy in 4 months with me. He made an extra 100K. So for what you pay me in my program, it's not a huge cost for the rate of return, right? So yeah, no,
Negligible.
there's
Negligible.
a lot of good success stories that have come through.
Oh man, that's awesome. Hey, Dave, would you mind posting the link of your, coaching and info in that in the comments section after the Facebook Live is done?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, easiest way to hit me up is always IG. I do everything just off my
IG,
Instagram,
okay.
which is just it's Dave Jenkins underscore Dave Jenkins underscore. And
Perfect.
if you see there's a link to a website, but the website just has a little bit of a background, a couple testimonials, things like that. But anybody that's interested, just hit me on the DM on IG, and I hit it back right away. I answer all my DMs. I do
Love
everything
it.
one on one. You're never going to be put off to another coach or somebody that I train. We don't roll like that. It's always me 100%.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing your coaching program, sharing your journey as well. If there was one thing, Dave, that you could give us for agents to take for all of 2024 to dominate 2024, what would it be?
Dial in your daily habits, have a schedule, and build your personal brand. If you could do those things, you'll have a great year. All comes down to the
I
daily
love
wins.
it.
If you can win if you have a schedule, you stick to it every day, you dial in your daily habits and you build your personal brand via social media, there's no doubt in my mind that you'll fucking kill it. I think you would agree
I
with that
love
for
that.
sure.
100%. I always say that, control the controllables. You count the wins by actually executing your daily habits. Don't just count the
Mhm.
wins of the results or the deals that come in because they'll come as a result and a byproduct of what you do daily. So I appreciate you saying that. And guys, build your personal brand and we're going to dominate in 2024. Dave, thank you so much for your time today,
We're gonna
man.
kill it,
And I
man.
can't
We're gonna
wait to
do it like
collaborate
this.
more.
100%. Thanks, John. Much appreciated. Anybody, just hit me on IG.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
All right,
Take
guys, make it a great day. We'll see y'all soon.